All right, so so this is our second session regarding the biomes. So we have discussed tundra biome in the past class or the last session, and we have started taiga biome or the boreal forest. So we have seen the important characteristics. Now we are going into the vegetation. So boreal forest or your taiga biome mainly consists of conifers, okay, softwood trees. So as a forestry student, you must know the difference between softwood and hardwood, but we will discuss that also. Uh, Before that, the name boreal forest, I think I did not mention yesterday, but the boreal forest comes from Greek mythology, Boreas. Okay, so there is a god named as Boreas. So northern winds. So the Boreas, the Greek god Boreas, he brings the northern winds. So that is why the forests are towards the northern side. So the name boreal forest from the Greek god Boreas. All right. So these are coniferous forest. So another important point regarding this coniferous forest. So we have asked this many a times in Indian Forest Service mock interviews. Why these trees, they are called as conifers? So obviously, do you know the reason? So you might have studied about different types of forest, about softwood species. So you should know this, right? Most of the people, they give a different answer, right? So most of the students, when they are asked why these are called as conifers, so they reply or they give answer that these are called conifers because they are in the form or their shape, overall जो shape है, it is in the form of cone. That is their general answer, but this is not the correct answer. They are called as conifers because of their reproductive structures. So these conifers, they are gymnosperms, right? So in plant classification, in higher plants, we have angiosperms and gymnosperms, right? So angiosperms are flowering plants. Gymnosperms, they do not produce flowers or fruits. They have naked seeds. So these seeds are in cones. So these are called as cones. So because they produce their naked seeds in the cones, they are called as conifers, not because of their shape. So that is a misconception. Because they look triangular, that is why they are called as conifers. So most students, they give this answer, but it is false. Okay. So just a minute. Just a minute. Oh, sorry, there was small disturbance. Okay, let us continue. So these trees are called conifers because of cones. So seeds, their seeds, they are present in these cones. So they have naked seeds. They don't have flowers or ovaries. Okay, remember this. This can be a question again. So these are softwood trees. So most of the paper pulp, cellulose, it comes from cellulose, it comes from softwood trees. So न्यूज़पेपर के लिए जो पेपर पल्प आता है, so the paper pulp mainly comes from these trees. Okay, softwood trees. So conifers, unlike equatorial rainforest, have moderate density and they are more uniform. Equatorial rainforest, they are very thick, very dense. It is even very difficult to cross through the forest. You cannot move easily. You have to cut through the bushes and dense, um, you say, vegetation to cross through. Even walking through the forest is very difficult. Whereas in case of conifers, they are uniformly distributed. There is the density is not that high. The plants are uniformly distributed, so you can easily pass through. Okay, so coniferous woodlands produce tall, straight trees. Again, so when you have the wood which is straight, you don't have much branches. See, branches, they produce knots. So you must know, right? Timber. So in quality of timber, there should not be any knots. So if you have side branches, big side branches, they produce knots which reduces the quality of the timber. So that is why in teak or in other commercial timber plants, commercial timber trees, we don't allow the branches from the bottom. So at least we have certain bole length. After that only we allow branches, right? So you should know these silvicultural operations, because the knots reduces the strength of the timber. So you must have studied this, right? So knots, they reduces the strength of the timber. So coniferous trees. So what are these trees? They are spruces, pines, larches. They make up majority of the boreal forest. So there are different type of conifers: spruces, pines, larches. These are few types. So word coniferous means cone bearer. So they bear the cones. So these cones are the reproductive structures. So inside these cones, their seeds are produced. The seeds are present. So these conifers, they are gymnosperms. Okay. So flowering plants are called as angiosperms. So gymnosperms, they do not produce flowers. They don't have ovaries. Their seeds are naked. The plants have unique reproductive structures. These are called as cones. Seeds and pollen, they are produced by the cones instead of flowers. That is why they are called as conifers. All right. So do not forget this. If you are a forestry student having your optional as forestry, and in the forest service examination, if you reply that these are called as conifers because of their cone shape, that will be a big blunder. The whole impression will go down the drain. Okay, so do not make such blunders. Now, so conifers are evergreen, right? Again, I think there is a lag. So conifers are evergreen, right? So we have discussed this already. So one of the characteristics of boreal forest is these are evergreen trees. That means their leaves are modified into needles. Okay, and they do not shed their leaves every year. So conifers are almost all evergreen. Okay, so in contrast, deciduous trees, there is in contrast to deciduous trees. So in deciduous trees, they will shed their leaves in summer and autumn, depending upon the species and where they are present, because of scarcity of water. To preserve or to conserve the water, they shed their leaves to reduce the transpiration loss, right? Unlike those deciduous trees, there is no annual replacement of new leaves. That means annually they don't shed and new leaves, they do not replace the older leaves. So they stay on the branches for long period of time. So they are not annually replaced. Okay, so they may be present on the branches for 2 to 3 years or more than 3 years also. So same leaf may last up to 5 years on the tree also. It may last for 5 years. So trunks, they store the food, and the bark is thick to protect the trunk from extreme cold, because they are near to the polar regions, not exactly the poles, but very near to the, at higher latitudes the temperatures are very low, so the bark protects the tree from extreme cold. And they have conical shape, so as the main reason for the shape is to prevent accumulation of snow. So the snow may easily fall from the branches, they do not accumulate. If they have umbrella shape or some other shape of some other form of the tree instead of conical shape, snow may accumulate. You must have seen in cold areas or in temperate regions, the roofs, they are like this, they have conical roofs, right? You must have observed this. They have this type of roofs. Okay, so that is because snow, when it accumulates on the top, it will easily slide down. In India, you see flat roofs are there. We are because except your Himalayan regions, our houses, they have flat roofs. They don't have, in Kashmir and other regions where snow is very common, they have these roofs. They have this kind of shape, conical shape, right? So that the snow may easily slide down. In other parts, we have flat roofs, right? So trees are also conical in shape because the snow can easily slide down. Snow do not accumulate because of its conical shape and slanting branches. Okay, winds also have little grip on it. Okay, so in the hot weather, the perspiration or transpiration is fairly quick. Evaporation and transpiration is fairly quick because even the density is not very high. Okay, so leaves are modified into needle shape to prevent excess loss of water during, due to transpiration. Are you getting it? Why they have conical shape? So these are different adaptations of your organisms, plants, animals, to different climatic conditions. Now, spruce, pines, and larch, these are the common types of softwood trees that you see in boreal forest. Okay, so this is how your spruce looks like. Okay, so spruce, then you have your pine, and you have your larch. So you might have seen these in your university or colleges. So at the front gate you have these uh, trees. So this is called as monkey's puzzle pine, right? So these are the common species that you see in the boreal forest. So conifers, they have waxy needle-like leaves, to ensure that they lose very little water during the summer and the spring due to transpiration. Okay, most coniferous needle lose their leaves every 2 to 3 years, not annually. Their leaves are needle shaped to reduce the transpiration, and they do not shed every year. So at least for 2 to 3 years they remain on the branches, and uniformly shedding nahi hota hai. So that is why they are evergreen. The forest is evergreen because all the species, they do not shed their leaves uniformly. Okay, so but some species like spruces, some types like spruce, they keep them for up to 8 years. Okay, most conifers, they replace the leaves every 2 to 3 years, but some like spruce, they keep them for 8 years. Others such as larch and tamarack lose their leaves every year. Some of them they lose every year. Most of them, they keep their leaves for 2 to 3 years. Some, the leaves are there on the branches for 8 years also. Okay, so just to show you how these spruce or pines or larch they look like, so that you will have an idea. Okay, when somebody says what is spruce, you will remember the photograph. Okay, now, so these softwood trees, they're economically very important. So logging, so they are very important wood species. So Canada, Scandinavian countries, European countries, where logging is one of the main business. So softwood trees, these are mainly logged for commercial purpose. So richest source of softwood are Eurasia's and North America's coniferous forest belt. So this is Taiga biome is the largest terrestrial biome. So land-based biome. So you have tundra, you have taiga, you have desert biome, you have tropical rainforest. So out of all these terrestrial, you have aquatic biome based on water, you have terrestrial biome based on land, right? Out of all the land-based biome, this is the largest one. Taiga biome is the largest with respect to area. Remember this, this can be asked. Largest terrestrial biome is taiga biome. Okay, and these softwood trees, they are richest source of softwood. So softwood is used in construction of buildings, furniture, matchbox match, paper pulp, rayon, and other chemical industries. So softwood and hardwood, some basic differences you should know. As the name suggests, hardwood is very strong, very dense, and it is also darker in color. Softwood trees or softwood, as the name suggests, it is easily, easily workable. So you can easily chisel or carve it out. Okay, they're easily workable. They're soft compared to your hardwood. Okay, they are less denser. They're not that dark in appearance. They are light in color. They're not as dark as your hardwood. Right. So these are some differences. So pines or your conifers, they are softwood. Your normal deciduous trees, tropical or your broadleaf trees, they are hardwood. Okay, mainly. So they grow in cooler climate. That is one of the main characteristics of softwood trees, conifers. They bear cones. Okay, they have a looser grain structure, right? So fiber, cellulose fiber, it is loose. They're not, compared to your hardwood. So they're used as building material. Their houses, for construction purpose, they use this. They're usually softer and easily worked. So if you have a chisel and you use a hammer, you can easily carve it out. Okay, so they are also major source for paper pulp. Softwood. Hardwood is more denser than softwood, more darker than softwood. Okay, the grain, the packing, the texture. So the grain packing of the grains, the cellulose fibers gives the texture to the wood. So if you see, the texture is more finer in your hardwood. So these are some of the characteristics or differences between the hardwood and softwood. So these gymnosperms, spruce, pines, larches, so these are, you can say, evergreen trees. These are the conifers. But in the taiga biome, you also have some deciduous trees. ऐसा नहीं है that all of them are only coniferous trees. They also have some deciduous trees which shed their leaves. But you can say overall the forest is evergreen, because most of the trees, the majority, dominant group is your conifers. Here and there you will have deciduous trees also. They are less in number, so that is why they are not the very characteristic species. So some deciduous trees might also be present, but very few in number. Okay, they are not the dominant group. So deciduous trees, most deciduous trees fail to grow in harsh conditions of the boreal forest. Nonetheless, some do manage to grow. Most of them, they are not able to tolerate such conditions. Heavy snow, very low temperatures, deciduous trees, they will not be able to tolerate that. But some, they do grow here. So during the autumn period, deciduous trees lose their leaves. During the autumn means beginning of the winter, because harsh conditions, they start. Water is not available. So whatever is there, it is in snow form. It is solidified. So it is not readily available to the plants. So transpiration, if happens, the tree will quickly lose the water. So they shed their leaves to reduce the water loss. So deciduous trees with broad leaves are birch, poplar, aspen, okay, and those that are classified as shrubs are blueberries, willow, and alder. So you have trees and shrubs. Shrubs are blueberries, willow, and alder, ulnus species, and trees are birch, poplar, and aspen. So these are the tree species and these are the shrub species. So you have birch, you have poplar, and you have aspen trees. So these are the tree species that you, broad-leaved tree species that you see in Taiga biome. Okay. So this is how their leaf looks like. Broad-leaved bola hai na. Then another important characteristics of Taiga biome is that they have moss as the undergrowth. So trees are not very close. They have distance between them. So they are uniform in distribution. And you see, as understory or as undergrowth, they have moss, right? So this is your bryophyte, moss. Okay, they are found in boreal forest vegetation. Moss has a fluffy appearance and prefers damp environments. That means moist environment. Okay, so because of the fallen conifer needles or the leaves, okay, so as they start decomposing, the decomposition rate is very low, the organic matter. So the leaves are needle like. So when they shed in 2 to 3 years at least, right, they do not shed regularly, but in once in 2 to 3 years they will shed. So these leaves, when they slowly start to decompose, they turn the soil acidic. Okay, so they thrive in acidic soils like those found in this forest. So these moss, they grow well in acidic condition. So because of accumulation of organic matter does not decompose fast. Organic matter accumulates here because of low temperatures. So microbial activity, decomposition activity will slow down at these low temperatures. So sphagnum moss, this is a type of moss. So it is also used as rooting medium in nurseries. So in plant nurseries, it is also used as rooting medium. So sphagnum moss absorbs a lot of water from the forest floor, resulting in marshy area beneath the trees. So it is very soft, wet soil. You can see it is covered with this moss or your bryophyte. It will be covering the entire soil surface. So the undergrowth or the soil is covered with moss. This is another characteristic of this particular biome. So other than your trees, shrubs, mosses, fungi is also very common in these forests. So fungi such as mushroom are found in large quantities in the boreal forest. So these are saprophytes. So they digest the food outside their body. Okay, so detrivores and saprophytes, the main difference between these two is detrivores, they digest the food inside their body. Saprophytes like fungi and bacteria, they release the enzymes and digest the food outside their body. then absorb it. Okay, so we have also seen mycorrhiza. So you will see mycorrhizal association in taiga biome. So this fungi and the roots of these conifers, they form mycorrhiza, this symbiotic association where the fungus will provide nutrients like your phosphorus. It will mobilize the phosphorus so that the plants will be able to absorb phosphorus easily, and the plants will provide carbohydrates and other nutrients to the fungi because fungi is a heterotroph. So we know this association. So mycorrhizal association is also very common in these forests. Now another important characteristic is lichens. So lichens are very common. So lichen is an association of algae and fungi, right? Sorry, algae and fungi. So lichens, they are also a source of food to many animals like these reindeers and caribou. Okay, so this is a symbiotic association between algae and fungi. So algae provides, because algae can synthesize food, it provides the nutrients to the fungus. Okay, so algae and fungus, they are in a symbiotic interaction. So this association is called as lichen. So they form an expansive undergrowth in the forest and can also be found on rocks and tree branches. So they are also a source of food for many animals. So you can see here this, the reindeer or caribou, for them it is source of nutrition. So this reindeer is eating on the lichens. So lichens, again, they have different form. So you have crustose, then you have foliose, you have fruticose. So this is fruticose where they are shrub or shrub, or they have branches. So they have tiny branches, they look like a shrub. So this is fruticose, right? Foliose, they are leaf like. Crustose, they form a crust on the rocks or the branches. So we'll see these different types of lichens later. Okay, so they are a major source of food for many animals, just remember that. So we have seen the different flora of taiga biome. Now let us move on to fauna. So animals that we see in the boreal forest. So herbivores such as moose, caribou, deer, elk, wolves, muskrat, beavers, hare, mice. So these are the common herbivores that you see. Now, so moose, caribou, and elk. So there can be a bit of confusion when you see these animals. They all almost look similar, but there is a slight difference. So moose is the largest deer. Remember that. So largest deer is moose, and it has a unique type of nose in the front. Okay, they have a swollen type of nose. So that is the characteristic feature of moose. Okay. So this is the largest deer species. Caribou is also a type of deer. So all of them, they have antlers. Okay. Moose, caribou, elk, they look similar, but there is a slight difference. Okay. So moose have a different type of nose. So there is an extension of their nose, whereas you don't see that in other species. Elk, caribou, you don't see that type of nose. So there is an extension of the nose. Caribou, you see in caribou, their neck region is lighter in color. So the fur near the neck region, it is lighter in color compared to the rest of the body. Compared to the rest of the body, the fur near the neck region is lighter in color. Okay. In case of moose, the entire body is of the fur on the entire body is of same color. So there is no difference near the neck and the rest of the body. It is uniform in color. In caribou, the neck region, the fur in the neck region is lighter in color compared to rest of the body. In case of elk, you can see the fur in the neck region is darker compared to rest of the body. Rest of the body is lighter. The fur near the neck region is darker. The reverse is in caribou. Okay. So you see here, caribou have white necks with fur lighter than rest of the body. So caribou mein fur near the neck region is lighter than the rest of the body. Rest of the body is more darker. While the fur on the elk neck is darker than the rest of the body. In case of elk, the fur near the neck is darker. Rest of the body, the fur is lighter. Okay, so moose have dark brown fur all over the body. So uniformly colored. There is no lighter or darker shades. Dark color fur throughout their body. Okay, they have a bulbous nose. Okay, and a dewlap hanging over their neck. So how do you differentiate between these? So in case of, you see, moose, let me expand it, maximize it. So you have a bulbous nose and you have a dewlap, like here you see it is hanging, dewlap hanging near the neck. So these are the two characteristic features. Okay, and the fur is uniform throughout the body. So they don't have different shades. The fur is uniform dark brown throughout the body. So these are the, so you will not be confused. Caribou, elk, and moose. Moose is the largest in size. Okay. Then other fauna that you see are deers, wolves, beavers. Okay, beavers, muskrat, wolves. These are all rodents. Okay, mouse. Then you have snowshoe hare. You remember snowshoe hare? Right. So we have seen this in predator prey relationships. Okay. So snowshoe hare, it was white in color, right? Fur was white, right? So fur was white in color, but it depends on season. So in winter, the fur color changes. In spring season or summer, the fur will be brown in color, so that it will have a camouflage. So it can hide in the grass. Okay, the connection is unstable. Just a minute. Now is it okay? Right. So we saw the example there. Snowshoe hare, lynx, and snowshoe hare. So they are called as snowshoe because you see their legs, they are white in color. Shoe. Now you understand where the name comes from. Snowshoe, white colored toes, right? Snowshoe hare. The legs, they look like snow, right? So lynx and snowshoe hare relationship. So study was conducted in Canada. If you remember, as the prey population falls, predator population will also fall. So there, I have shown some pictures also where the snowshoe hare color was white. So it depends on the season. So in the winter season, it is a you see the day length will also trigger the melanin pigmentation. So there it will have white color fur during the winter, so that will act as a camouflage to protect itself from the predators. In the spring season, there, as the day length increases, right, melanin production also increases, and their uh, fur color will turn into brown, so that again they will have a camouflage in the grass, so that they can hide well. So it depends on the season. Okay, so these are some strategies that animals have adapted. So carnivores, so coming to carnivores, you have fox, lynx, marten, grizzly bear, coyote, okay, ermine. So this is your lynx and snowshoe hare, prey and prey. Okay, so you have cougar. These are some of the carnivores. So apart from there, you have tigers, Siberian tigers. You have wolves, very common, and you have wolverine. Okay, so wolverines, tigers, and wolves. So these are the carnivores of your taiga biome. Now, animal adaptations. Coming to, so when we say interaction between biotic and abiotic factors, so this is what we are talking about, adaptation. How do they adapt to such conditions? Right. So majority of tiny animals live in the microclimate. They will hide in, like insects. They will hide inside the fallen trunks. So trees that have fallen, they are decomposing inside them. They will hide to protect themselves from low temperatures. So voles and mice, for example, they hibernate in the burrows during the winter. They will burrow into the soil or the uh, bottom layer or dead wood and survive the winter or hibernate. Other animals such as bears must eat and gain a lot of weight in the autumn months in order to prepare for the hibernation in the winter. So they hibernate and they eat during the summer and they rest during the winter, because in winter there is no food supply. So there is no food in during the winter. So snowshoe hare, for example, they camouflage themselves according to the season. So in the winter, their fur color turns white, and in the summer, their fur color turns brown to hide in the grass. Because in the summer, the water is available and there is plenty of vegetation, so they hide in the grass. In the winter, everything is covered by snow, so they have to protect themselves. So their fur color changes white in color, so that they can hide in the snow. Other adaptation include the hare and lynx having fluffy feet, so that they can walk on the soft snow, right? Fluffy feet. So similar adaptation you can see in camels also. So in camels, because they are in the desert, they have a pad like feet so that they can walk on the sand, right? So here also they have fluffy feet so that they can walk on the snow. Otherwise, you can say their feet will easily subside, their body will subside into the soft snow to prevent them from sinking. Not subside, the sinking. Subside is not the correct term, sinking. Right. In case of birds, so birds in the forest are most visible in the early spring and later summer. During the winter, they migrate. Majority of the birds migrate before the chilly winter months. Okay, some of them they stay throughout the year, but most of them they migrate. So what are the examples of birds? You have whooping cranes, ducks, goshawks, great horned owls. So these are some of the birds, right? So you have whooping crane. So this is the whooping crane. Then you have goshawk. You have great horned owls, osprey, warblers. uh, Then you have loons. So these are some of the birds that are found in the tiger Reserve. Now threats. What are the threats? So taiga ecosystem are threatened by direct human activity and climate change, and also forest fires. So it is also very common in Canada also. Like a couple of years back, there was a wildfire in Canada. So the smoke, it polluted the, you can New York and all the Great Lake area. So the smoke from the forest fire, it settled in the Great Lake areas and your New York City, all that area. The air got the particulate matter polluted the air. Couple of years back, there was a forest fire in Canada. So it is quite common. Deforestation through logging and clear cutting, that is another threat, because people, they require timber for construction and for other purposes, they are cutting down the trees. Forests are also cleared for urbanization, which can lead to habitat fragmentation. So animals, they have animals which have fur, they are hunted. Fox or bear, they have always been hunted, so their warm fur for making clothes or winter clothes, right? So these are some of the threats. So now you have some idea about the taiga biome. So what are the different conditions, what are the different flora and fauna which are found in the taiga biome? So this is the largest terrestrial biome. Now we are moving to another biome which is called as temperate deciduous forest biome. Now if you see, so let me use different color. So let me use this. So you have tundra biome here. Okay, near the poles. You have tundra biome near the poles. Then you have ये pole है suppose, and he's somewhere equator is here. After tundra, you have taiga biome, and after taiga, so you have other region. So okay, what color should I use? Okay, let me use this one. This is temperate forest, temperate deciduous forest. So from poles towards the equator, right? So taiga biome is between tundra and temperate deciduous forest. So tundra biome we have seen. Then if you go to a bit south from the tundra biome towards the equator, towards the lower latitudes, you will get taiga biome. And from there, if you go down bit south, okay, towards the equator, you will have temperate deciduous forest. Now, are you getting the location of this forest? Right? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Where is it present? So just below the taiga biome, you have, if you go to little bit lower in latitude, you will see temperate deciduous forest biome. So the name suggests deciduous forest means leaf shedding. Okay, so trees, they shed their leaves. All right, so temperate deciduous forest biome. No, our forest, they are tropical deciduous forest, not temperate deciduous forest. Okay, Maharashtra, Karnataka, they come fall under tropical deciduous forest, not temperate. So here the leaf shedding happens because of extreme cold during the winter. Water availability is not there. For us, the condition is reverse due to high temperatures, high transpiration rate. Here, because there is snowfall, but in our condition, in our case, the condition is reverse. So because of high temperatures, high evaporation rate, there is leaf shedding. You see, in our case, generally we have leaf shedding during the summer. Hmm. All right. So these are temperate deciduous forest. So they are found in temperate regions. Okay. So where are they found? The location. So temperate deciduous forest biomes, they have many broad-leaf trees that shed their leaves in the fall, that is in autumn. Okay, just before the winter. So these forests are also known as deciduous forest because the trees have flat and wide leaves. Coniferous mein the leaves are modified into needles. So here the leaves are broad, broad-leaf trees that shed their leaves during the autumn or the fall. They are located in the Earth's mid latitudes between the tropics and the Arctic. So temperate region, somewhere in the middle, not in the tropics. That means above the Cancer and below the Capricorn. Okay, so mid latitudes, temperate regions. So you see in United States, parts of Canada, most of the Europe, parts of Eastern Asia. In southern hemisphere also they are present, parts of Australia and South America, New Zealand. So location wise, where are they located? So deciduous forests occur in locations all over the world, including both northern and southern hemispheres. So in both hemispheres, you can see these forests. Now, in northern hemisphere, where are they present? North America, Europe, and parts of Russia, China, Japan. So between 30 degrees and 60 degrees north. Right, your Tropic of Cancer is 23.5 degrees. Right. So here above 30 and below 60. So mid latitudes. So in southern hemisphere, parts of Australia, right, South America, they are home to some deciduous forest. Though the animal life in these regions is typically different from the north. So southern hemisphere, the animal life or the fauna is very different from the northern hemisphere. Okay. So they thrive well in the areas that have mountains and particularly in places that have a wide range of soils. So mainly this you have to remember, 30 and 60 degrees latitude. So they generally are found in the mid latitudes. Climatic conditions. So deciduous forest regions are exposed to warm and cold air masses, both warm and cold air masses, which causes these areas to have four seasons. You have summers, winters, spring, and autumn. Right. So temperate deciduous forest the temperature ranges from -30 to +30. Average yearly temperature is 10 degrees Celsius. So in the summer, the temperatures can go up to +30. In the winters, it can go up to -30. Average yearly temperature is 10 degrees Celsius. So temperate regions of the earth. So areas in which deciduous forests are located, they get about 750 to 1500 mm precipitation throughout the year, average precipitation throughout the year. So you know the temperature conditions, where are they located latitude wise, what is the precipitation. It is not that much, okay. The precipitation, average precipitation is less, scanty rainfall is there. So they are full of quintessential fall trees, mainly the trees that shed their leaves during the autumn or fall, okay. So those trees that change color before their leaves drop entirely during the winter. So the chlorophyll starts to disintegrate. So as the days become shorter, the light intensity gets weaker. Okay, they are exposed to warm and cold air masses, giving them four seasons: spring, autumn, winter, and summer. Four seasons are there. So as the winter approaches, sunlight will diminish, days will become shorter, leaf chlorophyll production slow down and eventually ceases. So the leaf color changes from green to yellow, orange color, right? So bright yellow, red, and orange color. So you have, that is why these trees, you can see the trees, they're of different color. So because of the change in the leaf color, so the chlorophyll production will slow down and the leaf color changes from yellow to orange or red color. So that is why they have. And this is another characteristics, that you have a mix of deciduous trees and some conifers are also seen among these deciduous trees. So you see some conifers, you can locate them, which are growing among these deciduous trees, right? You can see that. So you can see this mix, because from taiga biome you are entering into deciduous temperate forest. So you can see you will have some conifers mixed in these deciduous forest. In the same way as some deciduous tree species were there in the taiga biome, right? Popular, aspen. So some deciduous trees were there in the taiga biome. In the same way, some taiga species, some conifers, you can see them mixed with the deciduous forest. Hey, there is no clear cut demarcation, right? So ऐसा नहीं है कि from up to this line there will be only conifers, and from this line onwards you will have deciduous trees. So you can see mixed population. So coming to the soil is typically rich because of high organic matter content. So there is lot of litter, okay, leaf fall is there, so organic matter will be present. So leaf dropped from these trees, they provide steady source of organic material for the soil. So this organic matter also decomposes. The decomposition rate is slow when compared to tropical regions. Tropical regions where temperature is higher, so temperature is around 30-35 degrees, so the decomposition rate is very fast in the tropical regions. In the temperate regions, the decomposition rate is there, the decomposition takes place, but not that fast. Compared to taiga region, it is better. Decomposition takes place and slowly the nutrients, inorganic minerals will be released back into the soil. So there will be recycling. So many species live in the soil and break down the organic matter. So there is a bulk return of nutrients from the trees due to leaf fall. So this litter will bring back the nutrients into the soil by the decomposition of organic matter. So flora, what are the different tree species that you see in temperate deciduous forest. So temperate deciduous forest have great variety of plant species. Okay, so we have three levels of plants. So lichens, moss. So lichens is algae and fungi association, moss is your bryophyte, and ferns are pteridophytes. You must have seen in movies, so plants that are growing very close to the ground, mostly in temperate regions. If you have seen any movies, uh, you see this type of leaves. So they are growing very close to the ground, they are not very tall. So ferns, so these are pteridophytes. So wildflowers and other small plants can be found on the forest floor. So this is the first level, near to the ground. Then you have second level, which have shrubs, which is the middle level. You have plants at three levels, and the top or the taller plants, these are hardwood trees. Softwood are conifers. These deciduous trees, they are hardwood trees like oak, beech, birch, hickory, walnut, maple, elm. So these are all your hardwood trees that are found at the third level or the taller plants. So ground level, shrubs which are in the mid level, and hardwood trees which are at higher level, tall trees. Uh, Conifers like spruce, fir, and pines can also be found mixed with the hardwood trees. So I have shown you the picture, right? In the midst of your hardwood deciduous trees, you will see some conifers here and there. Okay, so sometimes the taiga and the temperate deciduous forest, they overlap. So there is no clear cut demarcation कि भाई यहाँ तक conifers. So conifers will grow up to here, and here deciduous trees will grow from this particular level. ऐसा नहीं है. So there will be mixed. So there is overlap. You can see them together. So in the conifers, in the taiga biome, we saw some deciduous trees. In the same way, in the deciduous temperate forest, you can also see some conifers. So this is oak. Again, oak has many variations. So there are different types of oaks. Okay. So here you have black oak, pin oak, southern red oak, northern red oak, chestnut oak, bur oak, Oregon white oak. So very different types of oaks are available. So oak is another example of deciduous tree of the temperate forest. So this temperate deciduous forest. After oak, you have beech. Okay, you have birch tree. So this birch we have also seen in the taiga biome. So we can find birch in the taiga biome also. Then you have hickory, you have walnut, you have maple, the Canada. On the flag of Canada, you can see the maple tree. You have elm, you have ash. So these are some of the common trees that are found in the temperate deciduous forest. So you can see there is a mix. So there is an overlap. So you see here conifers growing among these birch trees, right? So conifers growing in between deciduous temperate forest. There is a mix, there is an overlap. Okay. Now, plant adaptations. So what kind of adaptations do you see in these forests? Okay. So deciduous trees that shed leaves once in a year at the approach of cold and dry season, and later grow new leaves during the spring. So in the spring, new leaves will come out. Then in summer, their broad green leaves help capture the sunlight to make the food through photosynthesis in case of any plant, right? As the temperature drops, the trees cut off the supply of water to the leaves and seal off the area between the stem and the trunk. So shedding of the leaves will start as the temperature starts to drop in the autumn. Water supply will be cut off and the leaves will shed. So with limited sunlight and water, leaves are unable to continue producing the chlorophyll. So that is why there is change in the color. So green leaves will turn yellow or orange in color, right? So they will change into beautiful red, yellow, and orange color leaves during the fall or autumn because of the stopping in the production of chlorophyll. So in winter, it is too cold for the trees to protect the leaves from freezing. So if the leaves they have free water, so that water may freeze during negative temperatures in the winter. So it may damage the leaves. So they shed the leaves. So the leaves may get damaged by freezing in the winter. So free water which is present in the leaves, they may freeze and cause the tissue damage. So simply it is better to shed them. So losing their leaves help the trees to conserve the water loss through transpiration, because in winter water is also not available. Okay. So before the leaves die, some of the food material they contain is drawn back into the twigs and the branches, and it is stored for the following spring. So before the shedding actually takes place, whatever nutrients that are present in the leaves, they will go back to the stem, and then shedding will take place. So warmer temperatures during the spring will again lead to new leaves emerging from the branches. So those are the floral adaptations. Now coming to fauna. So animals that live in temperate deciduous forest must be able to adapt to the changing seasons, because we have 4 distinct seasons. Some animals they migrate during the winters to other biomes. Okay. So yearly change in the amount of canopy cover, because shedding of leaves is there, so trees will shed their leaves. So these birds or the fauna they will be exposed during the spring. Then the canopy will be fully covered. They can easily hide from their predators. So if they are fully exposed, then their predators can catch them. So they also require shelter, proper cover, and protection from their predators. So when they have full foliage, all the leaves, it is totally green, then the birds will come back so that they will have shelter. During the leaf shedding, during the autumn, they will fly away because now they are fully exposed. They don't have shelter. Right. So yearly change in the amount of canopy cover also affects the animal life of the deciduous forest. Birds they have learned to migrate with the timing of seasons and return to deciduous forest when the canopy is covered. When it is fully covered, they will come back, which will allow the safe place to raise the young and easily access several insects. So woodpeckers, spring warblers, these are some of the species. So other birds that are found is, so woodpeckers, robins, jays, blue jay you can see here, cardinals, owls, turkeys, hawks, eagles. These are some of the birds that you see in the temperate deciduous forest. Another important uh, characteristic or another important fauna that you see is amphibians, right? So salamanders, these are indicator species. So amphibious creatures they thrive well in deciduous forest because plenty of leaves they are on the ground, so they can easily hide in the leaves. So they can easily find shelter in the old and worn out wood, but they can also access pools of moisture and different amounts of shade and sun. So they can easily hide into the leaves when there is excess sunlight. They can protect themselves also. They can easily access pools of water on the ground. Salamanders in particular are a common sight. Frogs, toads, snakes, they are also common. So insects, they are also very common. They are also responsible for pollination. So bees are found in nearly every forest, and butterflies, moths, and flies, they are mainly the pollinators. Ants, bees, wasps, cicadas, dragonflies, mosquito, these are the common insects. Now, smaller animals in temperate deciduous forest include rabbits, otters, monkeys, beavers, raccoons. This is a raccoon. Okay, this is a porcupine. This is your squirrel, rabbit, otters, beavers, monkeys. So in that order, the pictures are also in the same order. Don't get confused. Sometimes हो सकता है otter and beaver के बीच में confusion हो, but follow the order, and as it is given in the list of the names, the pictures are also in the. See, honey badger. Uh, you see, I showed you the picture of Wolverine, right? So let me show you honey badger. It is common in dry areas. Okay, honey badger. It looks like Wolverine. Just I showed you. I think. Honey badger is smaller. They have very leathery skin. Okay, you might have seen in. Just let me show you. Yeah. So honey badgers are smaller in size. Wolverines are larger in size. Honey badgers, you might have seen in some of the reels. So they will fight with any animal, with lions, with hyenas. Okay, you might have seen them in some. So they look like they have death wish. They will fight with any animal. Right? They will fight with snakes. They will fight with lions. They will fight with hyenas, honey badgers. Or the skin is very leathery. They are very tough to bite. Also, the predators, they cannot easily eat it. So that is why from the day begins, it is on suicide mission. Okay. Whereas Wolverine, they are larger in size. Wolverines are very common in temperate regions. Honey badgers, they are common in tropical areas. Okay, Wolverine and honey badgers, there is difference. So this is a honey badger. You see, they're smaller in size. Okay, whereas Wolverines, they're larger compared to your honey badgers. Sorry, we have. Okay. Now, so we have seen your smaller animals. So you also have some large mammals. So you have bears, white-tailed deer, okay, moose, that is your larger deer, moose, tigers, elephants, giraffes, leopards, pandas, Okay, they live in this particular biome. So you have red panda and normal panda. So animal adaptations. So migration and hibernation, they are the two common adaptations. Exactly, I don't remember the count, but it is common in northeast. So you can see it in Sikkim, in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, I don't remember the exact number. Yes, yes, it is in the red list. So migration and hibernation, they are two adaptations that are used by these animals. So they migrate to warmer areas during the winters. So while a wide variety of birds migrate, many of the mammals hibernate during the cold winters. Birds, they can fly away and cover larger distance, so they migrate. Animals, they hibernate during the cold months when the food is in short supply. Okay. Another behavioral adaptation is storage of food. So in squirrels, okay, so you can see this in case of squirrels, they have this habit of storing the nuts. Okay. So the nuts and seeds that are plentiful during the summer are gathered by squirrels and chipmunks and some birds also, jays, and they are stored in the hollows of trees to be used during the winter months. So this food supply, they start to hoard the nuts, okay, for supply in the winter. So cold temperatures also help in preventing the decomposition of these nuts and seeds. So they don't get spoiled because of low temperatures. Now, so that was your temperate deciduous forest. Now, importance. What is the importance of this particular biome? So they are of great ecological importance. They help in reducing erosion and stabilize the soil. So soil erosion को prevent करते हैं. That is one of the benefit. So they provide habitat and food for many animals, including migratory tundra birds. So from tundra biome also birds migrate to this temperate deciduous forest during the winter because tundra is very cold. So from there the birds migrate towards the south to the temperate deciduous forest. Okay, so forests help in maintaining biodiversity, regulate the region's climate, oxygen supply. So you know this stuff, right? So this is nothing new. So that is the importance of these temperate deciduous forests. Now, what are the threats? One of the threat is logging, so excessive cutting down of trees for timber, right? For forest products, that is one of the main threat. Then agricultural expansion, so cutting down the forest for cultivation. So this is another threat. Then urbanization, so natural landscapes are deliberately transformed into urban ecosystems. So there is fragmentation of habitat. That is another danger. The invasive species, so including various non-forest plants and animals introduced by human activities, often pose significant and scalable threat to the temperate deciduous forest. For example, your Asian gypsy moth, Prunus serotina. So this is a invasive species. Disease outbreaks, which are often caused by fungi, bacteria, viruses, that is again another threat. Pest infestations, okay, insect pest infestations is another threat. Wildfires, they spread rapidly and damage the forest. Okay, there is another threat. Climate change, okay, climate change. So anthropogenic, so climate change which is frustrated by human activities, burning fossil fuel, deforestation, that is another threat. So we have covered temperate deciduous forest. Now I intend to at least cover this particular biomes, uh, tropical grassland, at least this one in the class, in this particular session. Okay, So let us quickly go through this particular biome. It is smaller compared to other biomes. Okay, so savanna biome or tropical grassland. All right, so just give me a moment. All right, so savanna biome. Shall we proceed? I think tundra biome, taiga biome, temperate deciduous forest. It is clear. Now you will have an idea. Okay, so we are discussing ecosystems on a larger scale. Okay, how the biotic and abiotic factors are interacting. Adaptations is the interaction between these factors, right? So next biome is savanna biome or tropical grassland. Okay, so what are actually these grasslands? So first we will start with meaning of the term grassland. So as the name suggests, so it is an area which is dominated by grasses. Simple. So area or an ecosystem which is dominated by grasses is called as grassland. Hmm. That is the dominant flora. So huge trees and shrubs are very rarely found in these regions. Okay. Mainly the entire ecosystem or the area is dominated by grasses. So ecosystem is a dry area dominated by grasses. So the low rainfall is another reason for domination by grasses, because the moisture here is not enough to support large trees. So huge trees and shrubs are very rare, which is mainly because of climatic conditions and other environmental factors which do not withstand the plant's requirements. So large trees and other shrubs, they do not grow here because of lack of moisture. Hmm. So grasslands are called as transitional landscape. So grasslands are transition between tropical forest and desert. So they are between these two biomes, tropical rainforest and desert biome. Okay, these are the two extremes in between them. So this is a transitional landscape. So it is between the tropical rainforest and your desert biome. Okay, here the vegetation is mainly dominated by herbs and grasses. So these ecosystems are mainly found where there is scarcity of water. Okay, and the water is not enough and there is no regular rainfall to support the growth of plants and forests. So that is why you don't have large trees and thick vegetation. Here mainly the vegetation is dominated by grass species, because the moisture here is not enough to support tall plants or large trees. Got it? The meaning of the term grasslands. What is the main type of vegetation? Why there is no large trees? Because the rainfall is not enough. Simple. Now, grassland can be of two types: tropical and temperate. So, we'll cover these two. tropical grasslands and temperate grasslands. Okay, so this light green region, it is temperate grasslands. So they are known by different names in different parts of the world. So these are temperate grasslands. So you have steppes in the Eurasia, you have prairies. Okay, so wheat bowl of the world bolte prairies. Okay, in the Midwest. Then you have pampas in Argentina, you have veld in South Africa, you have downs in Australia. They are known by different names in different parts of the world. So these are temperate, so light green, temperate regions. Then you have tropical grasslands in the tropical regions. So you have llanos and campos in South America. You have savanna in Africa. You have Australian savanna. India maybe hai, you can count like northern Karnataka, parts of Andhra Pradesh, parts of Maharashtra. So that is also counted under grassland. So you have temperate and tropical grassland. Obviously, temperate grassland, they are found in the higher latitudes. Tropical grasslands, they are found in the tropical regions, as the name suggests. Okay, so we'll cover these two. First, we are covering savanna. Tropical grasslands are called as savanna. Temperate grasslands are known by different names in different parts of the world. So they are called as prairies in Northern America. They are called as steppes in Eurasia, right? Veld in South Africa, pampas in South America. So they are known by different names. Savanna is tropical grassland of Africa. So grassland ecosystem, they lie between desert and forest ecosystem. So they are transitional, bola hai na? They are transitional. They are in between desert and tropical forest. So savanna grassland and temperate grassland are some examples of grassland ecosystem. Yes, you need to remember this. You must have covered this in geography. You have to remember where they are present. So when you are reading the different continents, right? So when you're going through the physical geography of different components, different continents. So Australia, South America, right? You must have studied continents separately. Yeah, so there is an old NCRT, Land and People, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade NCRT, Land and People. So when you're studying different continents, you cover all the main rivers, you cover all the basic physical geography, mountain ranges, plains. So you take an atlas and highlight every important aspect of that particular continent. So you also read about these grasslands. So you need to remember their names, where they are present, and what are they called in those regions. You have to remember. This is important. Not here, but in geography. You must have read them in geography, right? So they go by different names in different parts of the world, right? So grasslands of South America are known as pampas. So we are talking about the temperate grasslands. Temperate grasslands of Eurasia, they are referred to as steppes. In case of South Africa, they are called as veld. In Australia, they are known as downs. In North America, they are known as prairies. Okay, so these are temperate grasslands. They are known by different names. Tropical grasslands, they are called as savanna in South Africa. In Brazil, you have two pockets. One north of the equator, that is llanos. Then one strip that is south of the equator, that is called as campos. Llanos and campos, they are in South America. These are tropical grasslands. You also have Australian savanna and parts of India that is also covered under savanna grassland. So the savanna biome, which is a grassland biome, consists of areas of open grassland with very few trees. So some of the species is, one of the species that you commonly see is acacia. So we'll cover different flora species which is commonly seen in savanna, but acacia is one of the common tree that you see in savanna grasslands. So this type of climate has alternate wet and dry seasons similar to monsoon climate, but very less annual rainfall, which can only support grasses, not thick vegetation of tall trees and shrubs. So here you have monsoon type of climate, but very less rainfall. So Sudan climate, it is also known as savanna climate because this is the characteristic climate in Sudan region. So Sudan climate, also known as the savanna climate, is a transitional climate found between equatorial forest and trade wind hot deserts. So they fall in between. Okay, so it is restricted in the tropics and thrive best in the Sudan. That is why it is called a Sudan type of climate. Okay, so we have distinct dry and wet seasons. So in dry season there is no rainfall. In wet season there is a little bit of rainfall. There is rainfall, but it is not much. So you have characteristic dry and wet seasons, and you can see this clearly in the Sudan area, the country. I mean, that is why it is also called a Sudan type of climate, because it is in between your desert and the tropical region. So Sudan climate is distinguished by alternate hot rainy season and cool dry season. Hot rainy season and cool dry season. Extreme diurnal temperature variations you can see during the day and night time. So it is situated between tropical forest and tropical deserts. Okay, mainly between 10 to 20 degrees both north and south of the equator. So within your Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So that is why they are called as tropical grasslands. And Tropic of Cancer is 23.5 degrees north and Capricorn is 23.5 degrees south of the equator, right? So between 10 to 20 degrees, that is in the tropical region. Between these two tropics, the entire region is called as tropical region, right? So very hot. So the grasslands that are found in these tropical regions, they are called as tropical grasslands. Between the tropical rainforest and the tropical deserts, you find these regions. Now, it is a transitional type of climate found between equatorial rainforest and hot deserts. So you can see here, so you have Sahara desert here. Right. And here you have rainforest. So between these two, so this is Sudan. है ना? Now it is broken into two parts, North, I mean Sudan and South Sudan, but Sudan type of climate, because this is present between the tropical desert and tropical rainforest. So African savanna, so belt includes West African Sudan and then curves southwards towards the East Africa and South Africa north of Tropic of Capricorn. So you see it will bend, and the Tropic of Capricorn goes from here, somewhere here, just touching the South Africa. This is your Tropic of Capricorn. So from West Africa, it covers, it will bend and it will cover. So when I'm saying, what does it mean? So it goes like this. So this is African savanna. Then you have savanna in South America also. You have llanos, and in this region you have campos. So just above the equator you have llanos, below the equator you have campos. So two distinct regions, namely llanos of the Orinoco Basin, which is north of the equator, and campos of the Brazilian highlands, which is south of the equator. So campos and llanos. Pampas जो है, so this is temperate grassland. Campos and llanos are tropical grasslands. All right. So remember the location also. Then Australian savanna. So this is entire. So it is located south of the monsoon strip in the northern regions of Australia, running from west to east, north of the Tropic of Capricorn. So this entire dark region. So that is the Australian savanna. Indian savanna. So you find it in certain regions, northern Karnataka, southern Maharashtra, Telangana. They exhibit these semi-arid to savanna type of climate. Due to irrigation availability, irrigation facilities in our country, so this region is slightly different from other savanna regions. They show some characteristics of savanna grassland, but they're not entirely savanna grassland. So what are the characteristics, other characteristics of savanna grassland? So the rainfall is very less, 180 to 160 centimeter, and rainfall decreases with distance from equator. So as you go away from the equator towards the Tropic of Cancer or Capricorn, the rainfall will reduce. So in northern hemisphere, the rainy season begins in May and lasts till the September. In southern hemisphere, October to March. Right. So during the dry seasons, weather can be extremely hot. Okay, and the rainfall which is received, it is not enough. Most of it is evaporated, right? So combination of high temperatures and little precipitation makes the area very suitable or perfect for the growth of grasses. So the moisture is not enough to support very large trees, but it is enough to support the grasses. So temperature, average temperature ranges between 10 to 20 degrees Celsius in the dry season and 20 to 30 degrees in the wet season. Okay, so cold and dry season and hot and wet season. So days are hot and nights are cold. So there is extreme diurnal temperature variation. Okay, this is another characteristic Sudan type of climate. For Sudan type of climate. Now winds, the main prevailing winds. So this is the, so this region lies in the right. So you have easterlies. Okay, so intertropical convergent zone, ITCZ, right? So here the easterlies, they are the main winds, right? Trade winds. So prevailing winds of the region are the trade winds. They bring rain to the coastal districts, right? So the winds are blowing towards the from east to west. So they are strongest in the summer, but they are relatively dry by the time they reach the continental interiors or the western coast. So from the east they are blowing towards the west. So when they are blowing over the ocean, they will carry moisture and they will bring rain to the eastern coast. But by the time they move towards the interior, most of the moisture is precipitated, right? Most of the moisture is received in the form of rain in the eastern parts. So by the time they are moving towards the interior, the rainfall will reduce, and by the time they reach the western coast, the wind is almost, it is dry. So trade winds, they are easterlies, flow from east to west. So rainfall also decreases from east to west here. By the time the winds move to the interior from the east, most of the rainfall is received in the coastal regions, and the wind becomes more drier as it moves towards the west. In West Africa, northeast trade winds, they blow offshore from continent to sea, right, from Sahara Desert and reach Guinea coast or Guinea bol raha hu, Guinea coast as dry, dust laden winds. So these winds which are flowing from Sahara Desert towards the Guinea coast. So these winds, what are they called? They have a special name. Okay, they lower the temperature a bit. They relieve the people from very hot, dry weather. They have a special name. These winds which are blowing from Sahara towards the, no, not Lu. You remember? They're also called as doctor. Do you remember now? Harmattan. So because they bring relief to the people from the hot weather, they are called as doctor winds or harmattan. Okay, so these trade winds, as they're flowing from west to east, sorry, from east to west, so they bring little bit of moisture, and most of the moisture is precipitated in the eastern coast. By the time they enter the interior, the rainfall reduces, and by the time they reach the western coast, they're almost dry. So that is why western parts of the continents, most of the deserts, they are found in the western parts of the continents. So if you see the vegetation of the savanna grasslands, it is covered with tall grass and small trees. Here and there you will see small trees. These grasses are known as bush veld. So veld is the term used in Africa, South Africa basically. Trees are deciduous and shed their leaves in cold, dry weather to prevent excess water loss through transpiration. Because water is not there, so distinct dry and wet seasons are there. For example, acacia trees. So commonly seen tree species in savanna is acacia. They have very wide trunk to store the water and to prolong, to withstand the prolonged drought condition. Their roots also, they penetrate very deep. Most trees, they have umbrella shape, exposing only narrow edge to the strong winds. So you might have seen trees, they are like this. In African savanna, most the trees, they are like this because the top, it is eaten by giraffe. So top of the trees are eaten by giraffe, so they have umbrella shape, typically of umbrella shape. So the grass is tall and coarse, growing up to 6 to 12 feet high. Elephant grass, This can grow up to 15 feet tall. So what are the type, what are the different grasses that are seen? Okay, so grasses appear greenish and well nourished in the rainy season, but they turn yellow and they dry up during the dry season. Okay, so grasses include elephant grass. So this is your elephant grass A. Okay, it can grow very tall. Then you have red oat grass. This is B, red oat grass. Then you have road grass C, and you have Bermuda grass, that is B. These are the common dominant grass species that you see. Okay, elephant grass, red oat grass, road grass, and Bermuda grass, common grasses that you see in the savanna. Trees that you see is baobab. So this is baobab A. This tree looks like inverted tree, right? So the canopy looks like roots, baobab tree. So this is very characteristic of the savanna. So baobab trees. Then you have acacia. So they look like umbrella shape, right? I told you they have an umbrella shape. You can see the shape, right? This is acacia. Okay, then you have candelabra. So this is C, candelabra. Then buffalo thorn. You have buffalo thorn. This is buffalo thorn. And last is Diospyros, that is this tree. So these are the common trees that are found in savanna. So you can not exactly cactus. It looks, the look is the leaves are thick, the branches are thick. That is why it looks like cactus. Now, what are the plant adaptations? So you have seen the grasses, mainly dominated by grasses. Here and there you can see trees. Now, what are the different adaptations that you see commonly in the flora? So, in order for the grasses to survive, okay, in the dry season and the periodic fires. So, there is also fire hazard. So, in this area, fires are also common, but this fire rejuvenates the savanna. It helps in returning the nutrients and sometimes breaking the dormancy of certain species. So this fire is good for the species. So in order to survive the dry seasons and the periodic fires, they have developed an adaptation that allows them to grow quickly when there is adequate water. So they will complete their life cycle very fast. So they grow very quick when there is availability of water. Okay, so when the water is scarce, the grasses will turn brown and brittle. Okay, so mostly what happens is they store the food reserves and moisture in the roots. Okay, in the underground storage organs. So they store the necessary moisture and nutrients in their roots while they await for the rainy season. So even though even the grazers, when they graze away the grass, the plant will not die. So there is enough nutrients in the roots stored up so that it can grow leaves again. So the plant will not die. It have reserves stored in the roots which helps in its survival. So with food and water reserves stored below the ground, the grasses are able to survive the effects of fire as well. So fire can burn only the grass above the ground. So the plant is still alive. Okay, it has food reserves stored in the roots. So again, it can uh, spring the leaves, the plant will survive and it will come back. Then what about trees? The baobab trees, They are adapted to the savanna biome by producing leaves during the wet season. During the dry season, they have finger like small branches. They won't produce the leaves. They will produce the leaves only during the wet season. When leaves do grow, they are very tiny finger like. Small size of the leaves, they help in limiting the water loss. So ज़्यादा surface area भी नहीं है leaf का, so that the transpiration can happen. Another adaptation is they can store lot of water. Baobab trees, they have ability to store large amount of water in its trunk. So you have seen it, it is very fleshy, right? So it can store large amount of water. Okay, acacia tree, it can survive the drought condition because it has long tap roots. It can go very deep and extract moisture from deeper layers of the soil. Okay, so it is also fire resistant. They can tolerate fire. So some varieties re-sprout from the root crown when above the ground portion of the tree is damaged by fire. So again, in the wet season, in the summer, again it will sprout new branches even if it is damaged by fire. Acacia tree, it also has developed symbiotic, or you can say mutualistic relationship with ants. So acacia tree has developed very useful physical and behavioral adaptation to discourage animal from eating its leaves. So you remember ants and acacia tree. So they have very swollen thorns. Okay. So the ants, they live inside these thorns and they will sting the herbivores when they try to eat the leaves. So it has developed long, sharp thorns. This is one symbiotic, one of the adaptation, that whenever the herbivore tries to munch on the leaves, the thorn will sting. The कांटा जो है ना, thorns, they will pierce the soft mouth parts. So that is one thing hindering the animals from eating it. Second is ants, which are in mutual relationship with the plants, and a symbiotic relationship with stinging ants. So ants live in the acacia thorns. They will hallow it, right? They will empty it, and they feed on the nectar produced by the tree. So they have shelter and they have food. What ants are giving? Ants are providing protection from herbivores. So ants will sting the herbivores, preventing the herbivores from eating the plant. So when animal takes a bite of the leaves, it also get mouthful of angry stinging ants. So acacia tree is getting protection. So service resource mutualism. So ants defend their homes from other insects as well as protecting the acacia tree. So this is another adaptation. Now giraffe, they feed on the top of acacia, which results in dome shape characteristic. So that umbrella shape is because of giraffe, which is eating from the top of the tree. So one behavioral adaptation aimed at preventing giraffe feeding on the trees, the chemical defense system. This acacia tree also produces some alkaloids and tannins, which will prevent the giraffe from further eating on the leaves. So as soon as giraffe takes a bite or starts to munch on the leaves, the defense system is triggered. So plant's defense mechanism is triggered and it will start producing tannins. Okay, which makes the leaves bitter. So the giraffe avoids eating the leaves. So once it starts munching on the leaves, the defense mechanism is triggered and the leaves will start producing large amount of tannins. Okay, and these leaves or the part of the branch which has damage, it will start producing ethylene. So this is a hormone which is in gaseous form, plant hormone, auxins, cytokinins, gibberellins. You might have studied these hormones, right? So ethylene is a gaseous hormone. So it is released outside the plant also. So once a part of the plant is damaged, ethylene is produced and it will warn the entire plant and also the surrounding plants that there is a herbivore. You start producing your defense chemicals. So entire plant will start producing large amount of tannins, all the cells, and even the surrounding plants are also alerted. These huge amount of tannins, polyphenols are produced, which will make the plant taste very bitter, so the animal will move away, it will not eat further. Okay, also other alkaloids are also produced. So different alkaloids are also produced by acacia tree. So there is a mix of alkaloids, there is no particular alkaloid but mix of alkaloids, like you have tryptamine and methyl tryptamine, then you have phenethylamine, nicotine, okay, amphetamines. So there is a mix of alkaloids that are produced which will make the plant very bitter, so that the herbivores will not eat further. Okay, so and also cyanogenic glycosides are produced. Cyanogenic glycosides are produced. These cyanogenic glycosides are enzymatically broken down. Enzymatic degradation or enzymatically they are changed to produce hydrogen cyanide. Prussic acid. It is called as prussic acid. So hydrogen cyanide, which is also called as prussic acid, it is toxic to the herbivore. So they will move away, they will not eat further. So these are the different defense mechanism. So one is cyanogenic glycosides are produced. Second, large amount of tannins are produced as defense mechanism. Right. So ethylene hormone will trigger rest of the plant and outside the plant, because it is gaseous hormone, it is also released outside and it will alert the surrounding trees also. And a mix of alkaloids are also produced. So these are the different defense mechanisms available with the plant to warn the herbivores or against the herbivores, right? Then what are the different fauna that are found? So you have leopards and cheetahs. Another question that is generally asked in forest service interviews is, especially to those people who write their hobbies as while watching wildlife documentaries, ऐसा अगर कोई लिख रहे हो तो तुमको इन डेप्थ नॉलेज होना चाहिए वाइल्ड लाइफ के बारे में. सो I have asked this question several times. So what is the difference, okay, morphological difference between leopard and cheetah? Okay, so which one is leopard and which one is cheetah? Can you tell the difference? Yeah, this is cheetah. So first one, they have solid dots. Okay, single solid spots are there. Whereas in case of leopard, you have a rosette. So the spots, they form this kind of rosette. You can see them, right? They have this kind of pattern, rosette pattern. In cheetah, you have solid spots. You don't have this rosette pattern. A leopard, the body is very stout. They're very thick body. Okay, very large compared to cheetah. Cheetah are very slender. They have very streamlined body. That is why they can run very fast. The air resistance is very less. Okay. Cheetah is slender compared to leopard, and their face, you can see, there is smaller, and they have a tear line, right? You can see they have a tear line. This one, this is not there in case of leopards. They don't have a tear line. Cheetah, they have this tear line. Now this also has a purpose. It will reduce the glare of the sun. सन का जो ग्लेयर है वो कम करता है, so that it can see clearly during the midday. So there is less glare and it can hunt easily. Okay, to reduce the glare. Okay, so in savanna we have large land mammals including elephants, giraffes, zebra, rhinoceros, buffalo, lions, leopards, wildebeest, African wild dogs, cheetahs. Other animals include again kangaroos. They are in the southern hemisphere. Kangaroos, ostrich, crocodiles. So these are baboons, lions, meerkat. Then you have deers, ostrich, wildebeest, wild dogs. Okay. So antelope, not deer, sorry, antelope. So antelopes, they belong to bovidae. So they are not deer, sorry. Antelopes, they are ruminants. They belong to bovidae. They belong to cattle group. Yeah, done, almost done. Sorry. Birds, you have cattle egret, sparrow, and you have osprey. They are commonly found. Okay, so let us continue tomorrow. Okay, so we'll continue with animal adaptations of savanna biome, and we will do the temperate grasslands tomorrow. After that, we'll move to other biomes. Okay, we'll discuss chaparral biome. Okay, tomorrow. So thank you very much. Bye.